Hello and welcome to another weekly live stream. This is where I code bugs in Mythruna and you guys get to watch and laugh at me. This week we're going to be working on getting the release ready because I'm putting out a bug fix release that also has pumpkins in it, so I'm calling it the pumpkin patch, but it's got a lot of other stuff in there too that are kind of cool. Before we get too much farther, let's go and thank the patrons. Thanks guys, and we picked up a new patron this week. So thanks to Donald McLean. And thanks to all of you who help keep things running here. All right, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. Actually, one small further delay, because even though this little guy is nearly useless, I like to bring him up anyway. There we go. All right, and I've got the low latency on again this time, so I don't know if video quality will suffer, but certainly we'll get faster chats. All right, so one thing I'm still working on is the Flora. So we've got grass and some flowers and brush and stuff, which I think is kind of cool. I'm not entirely happy with how the plants get laid out, but I do think it's cool that occasionally dry grass, and it takes the shade of the tree into account to know that stuff can or can't grow there, and has different plants for the sand. It still has at least one sort of critical thing I need to fix, because the plant distribution is flower distribution is kind of annoying. I kind of believe that. Oh no, that's unfortunate. 8-second lag. I mean, that's better than 30 seconds, but if I sit still, do you guys at least get a good view? Or is it particularly ugly? Anyway, as I was going to say, I kind of think that if any grass is going to grow in the sand, that it's always going to be the tall grass. Plus it would look better because we wouldn't see the X's as badly. So for example, let me switch over to the thingy here. So if I were to replace these with the tall dry grass, for example, see, suddenly it looks like the grass around sand dunes and stuff, and it's a little less noticeable of the X's and things. So I am probably going to tweak that. Let me so that it doesn't get dark on you guys. Okay, so I'll try to stand still a little bit here and there. So here in the forests it looks good. There are some critical issues though, and I'll switch over to I think I have a reference location that I was using for testing things. So here it's pretty good. In these kind of views, I really wish the default, this is one of the first times I've wished that the default clip was a little wider. Like if we send it out even one more, that's about as far as I'd want the flowers to render, and I'm going to put a fade into them so that they fade out, but I kind of wish they would go out that far by default. Anyway, but you can see, maybe it is a little much. But so here's a problem. I think there's too many flowers and brush in the open fields here. And there's certain types of flowers that never get selected based on my current algorithm. And all that's kind of like, yeah, but maybe it would work. The big thing, though, is that in the desert here, even in the middle of the desert, we occasionally get what will eventually be deep dunes, and that's not right. And that's because, this whole area here is desert, and if we were to go out even in the middle here, we would see kind of this level of grass potentially, because it's based on the wetness, and whether whether biome selects desert or not is not purely based on the wetness. So I need to take some other things into account. I do want grass to appear close to the edges here, near where the biome would switch. The other thing is maybe brush appears too often in the dry grass. It's something else I'm gonna have to mess with. But I need to fix the deserts, because it's crazy if you're in the middle of the desert. I think I have a... Oops. I keep thinking this works like a regular text editor. I think there's a... No, this may take a second. At any rate, this is something I have to fix, because I think it looks stupid. But otherwise, it's looking pretty good. Oh, maybe it is okay. Maybe I just need to tamp it down. Because here we are in the middle of real desert. Maybe it's okay if that's... This is probably super washed out for you guys. Let's let the sun go back down a little bit. So yeah, so we got desert as far as the eye can see, but no flora. So maybe it's okay. Man, deserts look cool. Oh, it's still loading in. Man, this is bleak, right? I think just for fun, we're gonna have to stick a jack-o'-lantern in here. Just somewhere out in the middle of the... Man, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, my internet's not great tonight or something. So anyway, we stuck a pumpkin out in the middle of nowhere because it's just funny. Yeah, so see there's a tower over there. But look, this is like an actual, like, for real desert. As far as the eye can see in all directions. Well, we kind of see some plant life there, but I'm really high to see. But yeah, desert all the way over to the mountains over there. Nice plateau over there. This is actually cool because there's a tower here. I went exploring this the other night, and that tower, from that tower you can see another tower on top of that plateau, which is kind of cool. Alright, so let's talk about fixing that maybe. Oh, I did want to show something cool. So let's go back to one thing I did get working is that if you see it like a cool view like this, let me sit still so you guys can see. So if you see a cool view like this, now you can come in here and say, no, what would it look like before? Oh my god, look how boring that is. We didn't even realize how boring everything was. Look at that. It's like night and day change. Oops. So suddenly, this is why I wanted it. Boink. Now suddenly the world is alive again. Now imagine when this is blowing with the wind. That'll be kind of cool. Okay. Alright, so yeah, so this will be in tomorrow night's release. I'll tweak the fractals a little bit. In fact, that's maybe what we'll do tonight. We don't have to do that in game. And so this is what I've been calling Oak World, Ron's World, World 321, I think is what it was. And I actually set up to be able to test this specific issue in the mapper. And now that it's not an issue, maybe I'll ignore it. But I will talk about one of the other problems I have. I think that instead of whiteboard, so this is World 321, and over here somewhere is the spawn. Where'd it go? usually I can spot it because it's a big crater. There it is. Yeah, so there's where the spawn is, that big crater, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I temporarily removed the town so we can just see the big ship floating around. I did this because I wanted to test the fractal stuff, but also if I pull way back, I can get kind of a map of the world, like a large scale map of the world. And so that way I was able to find some deserts. If I want to touch snow tundras, I can find that. But the desert I was just showing you guys is over here. That's this big desert. And we were somewhere in the middle here. And then my test area where I test the fractal is right here. But this way I was able to take a screenshot of the map, and I know where, even though they're really far. Because again, one of these hexes is like a day's travel. If you run flat out, sunrise to sunset, that's how long it takes you to traverse that. But here's where I was testing the fractals. The reason I do it in Mapper is because it's obviously I can make changes live. But see here we can see kind of, if you zoom in, I don't know if you guys can see it in your lower quality view, but there's lots of grass growing here in the desert. Occasional bits of brush and tall grass. But I'm kind of okay with that now that I realize that it does eventually fade into true desert. The other thing, the way I select for flowers, I think is a little too abundant. And there's at least 2 types of flowers that aren't even represented here. I will show you kind of the hacky where is it? There it is. So this emulates the code that's selecting block types, and it's, you know, a Groovy script that I can live update. And I think if I change the color of, so we see some pink, but never in grass. Like this is like here. Let me show you the where is it? Yeah. So if I do this, you'll be able to see what the block types look like. So this is, you know, grass, and this is dry grass, and then if we zoom out, this is desert. Yeah, and I don't like that kind of harsh line, but what are you gonna do? So desert, dry grass, grass, and you can see like the pink never shows up. Orange really never shows up, but pink never shows up, and pink never shows up in grass, only in dry grass, and orange never shows up. Yeah, why is it? Pink, yellow, cyan, orange. Pink, yellow, cyan, orange. And then 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So they both have them. But the way I select the types is not great. It was kind of a hack. If I come over here and, oh, the other thing that's in here, I'm not running the game right now, but there's a new fabric type in there too. The twill fabric type. Let's see what I've gotten done so far. Yeah, so jack-o'-lanterns, pumpkins, which you guys have seen last week. I added the twill fabric, and the twill fabric has like a wear pattern on it and stuff. I'll look at that next time we're back in the game. Anyway, what I was going to show, I was going to make a new, yeah, that's fine. So from the side, from the side, you know, if you took a side cutaway of the fractal, You know, it might look like this. And I basically, wow, that's really a thick pencil. I basically took, you know, layers of it and said, you know, anything above that layer is one kind of flower, anything, you know, above that layer is another kind of flower, and so on, which mostly distributes them, but it means if something else is suppressing it and we never see this bump, we'll never see that particular type of flower. And I think that's wrong. I think I probably need a fractal like this just to decide, is there a flower or not? And then another kind of multiple fractals to decide which kind of flower it is. So, you know, a bunch of these together, and then whoever is the highest wins, kind of thing. But that would also let me control the distribution a little better, so we wouldn't get like fields and fields of flowers, because I could control when they appear and when they don't. I'm not sure if this is interesting to you guys. It's the kind of thing I spend hours and hours tweaking, and maybe something else would be more interesting, because this will be where I sink the most of my time. The other thing I want to finish is the ability to import clothing, and I think I might work on that because that's kind of a critical feature as well. And this is kind of, at this point I feel like this works well enough. Even the problems I stated, I can tweak those. In fact, I will fix at least one thing that we talked about while I'm here. I said that in the desert I never want to see the short grass. So let's make desert grass. Okay, so we'll have desert grass, and I'll make a couple more of these. So how this works is, depending on block type, it'll select one of these biomes. So if it's the sand type, it picks this, you know, which will only have sort of based on that fractal I showed, you know, this is the side view, you know, which one do we want to select, kind of thing. You know, it'll select one of these things. You know, so like in the dry grass area, it prefers dry grass and dry brush, you know, but if it's greater than 0.5, it'll be one of these. Whereas in the desert, it's always grass and occasionally brush, never flowers. And so that kind of distribution, kind of a hacky distribution. So if we make this, and then we only have tall grass, and here we'll also tend to select tall dry grass. The thing is here is like the best it could be is tall grass, so it really doesn't matter. It's always going to select that. Whereas this one for the brush, if the chance that it would appear was low, it's going to just be dry grass and dry grass up till, you know, 0.75 or better. So yeah, so like that's what I was going to say. So, you know, based on the block type, because the block type, whether it's grass or dry grass or sand or dirt or whatever, that was chosen based on a bunch of complex fractals that took climate into consideration. So we just kind of call that a biome for the purposes of flora determination. Plus, all of the flora types are the flora types are sort of set up to blend with whatever their background block is. That's weird that. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to waste time on that. But, you know, I basically pulled up the backgrounds and made sure that I still have to do one for sand, and so it's probably good that we have a separate desert one. Anyway, so the block type chooses the biome, and then that fractal I showed, you know, talked about, chooses which type of plant. But then there's a sort of growth fractal that decides what the likelihood of something appearing there is. And so if we make a random dice roll and it's better than that, yeah, so we select a biome based on the ground type. Then we check, there's like a growth fractal that decides what's the probability of a plant growing there. And then based on the biome, we make some adjustments to that, and whether it's in shadow, like for example, in the desert or dry grass, if it's in shadow, that actually improves its chances of growing something, whereas in a forest under regular grass, it decreases its chances of growing. Then we make a random dice roll, and if the random dice roll is less than the chance that it would grow, we pick a plant type, and based on that chance, we select one of these. So if it's a low chance of growing, we do that. If it's a high chance of growing, we would do that, and so on. I don't know if any of this is making sense, but what I just did was made special desert grass types that would tend to only select tall dry grass. So if grass is growing on sand at all, it will always be the sort of meter tall grass. Even the dry brush will be basically this is grass with little leaves in it. So when we go back into the game, in fact, I'll where's my so we'll reset the blocks so that not the tiles are the ones that take a long time to generate, but the blocks. So when we go back into the game, anything on sand will be tall grass. That was a long explanation for a really simple thing. But someday you modders and future modders are going to be sifting back through these videos, I think, to remember how some of this works for the things I forget to document. Okay. So what I want to do tonight, and I think we can get it done in the time allotted, because if you guys are developing clothing and stuff offline, I want you to be able to import it. So this is really dark. Let's make it daylight. Actually, this was more dramatic. Let's do that. Golden hour. Okay, so we should have only tall grass here now. Yes, let's see. Just tall grass on the sand, which I think makes more sense. So that was a long explanation to get a simple thing done, but the other thing I did was raise, so one of the reasons I put grass here is because I raised the base of the trees for when you're in thick forest like this, so that you can run through the forest without constantly hitting. You will get some low trees, like this one, like you can't run through, but most of them, if it's really dense forest, you can now run through, and that's what made the ground cover look really bad. Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. I think one of these days I'm going to have to cut it off and decide that I need to make everything always backwards compatible. That's one of the reasons I haven't gone to public releases yet. Anyway, so tomorrow's release will have all this stuff in it. I definitely will release one tomorrow because I can't do it on Sunday. I got too much going on. So next thing we want to do, not that. So the clothing. Let's see. I did some twill. Actually, she's wearing twill stuff right now. So that's and you can see she's got like wear. It's not the greatest look right now, but it kind of works. It looks better in the game than it does in this view right here. But twill is like it's basically denim, if you want to think of it that way. So, there's like little patches of the elbow where it's worn thin, because that's what denim does when you wear it. Kind of gets rough around the edges. But I kind of wanted to prove the concept, and someday I'll go back and tweak all the art. It kind of works better someplace. Anyway, so already if you're in this clothing and you're editing, one of these things, you can hit the X button. It's a hidden feature. You can hit the X button, and you can see down there it wrote it out to a file. And so what I want to support now is to be able to hit like the I. Oops, not I. we'll have to pick a different button. Maybe Control X or something. Does Control X do anything? Nope. I mean, it does because I hit X, but so we hit Control X. We'll make Control X to be like an import, so that if you guys are developing clothes in your own world, they'll be available to add. Basically, you'll make a new clothing and just sort of paste it in by importing. So that's what we get working tonight. And I do want to do the same thing for blueprints, but not tonight. Oh yeah, it's a bug I'll have to fix, but not this time. I do want to do the same thing for blueprints, because then you could really go crazy with editing blueprints. Because then you could upload them, which I think Ron would appreciate, right, Ron? Because that's where all the fun is. Right. Ta-da. Okay. So anyway, what we'll want to do, I think it's like the export was really easy to add. Oh boy, yeah. See, it's the same. I need to fix that. So I mean, export's easy because whatever you've got selected, I just write that name. And I name it this-this. Import's going to be a little different because I'll have to bring up a selector to let you pick which file. So anyway, so we'll start putting the infrastructure in for that. Let's see if I can get it done in less than half an hour. So where we will want to go is the clothing editor state, definitely. And there's clothing editor functions. That's fine. I was just saying, I think you would appreciate being able to import your blueprints from another world, like I'm about to add for the clothing. But yeah, there's some cool towns, and the thing I like about the towns near that volcano is that they can see the. Hey Jeremy, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Let's see, where's the export? So we want to make it import. I think the import will say, yeah, I think we have to do it's not there already, but it's not particularly hard to implement, and in fact the there is already a block format, just like there's a clothing format. In fact, they are very similar, and the yeah, so like these are even sort of built to be forward compatible in the sense that they store sort of what materials and things they had available when they were written, and the blocks are just the same. Nope, not that. Like here's the axe, right? And so it says what blocks it uses and then what the block types are. And someone who's really clever can go and edit these to switch materials around and things. So the formats are already there and the game already knows how to deal with them. I just need to do the same thing I'm doing to the clothing functions. And so maybe I will get that done by tomorrow, because if this really does only take a half hour, it's like cut and pasting to do the other. But anyway, let's... Yeah, I actually want to be able to save blueprints too, because I edit them in Blocked, which uses the same format. But it would be nice to be able to, if I created something in game while I was chatting with you guys, to be able to export that. Plus, sometimes they look better in the game than they do in Blocked because it doesn't use the same lighting. All right. Anyway, so we want to make. Where is the setting up of the export. Yeah, so we need to add state listener for import. And then down here where I remove it, I need to remove it again because I'm a good citizen. I clean up my mess. And then on enable, oh, well, that's where we're adding the listener, that's where we're removing the listener, so it's all good. Excuse me, guys. Coming down with something, and or I'm getting over something. The earlier in the week, during our call with work, our huddle in Slack, I actually lost my voice. It reminiscent of one of these live streams because I was talking the whole time, and after about an hour, I thought I was going to die. Okay, so how can we make this somewhat generic so that I think we will clothing selector dialog. Okay, it's going to need some things I don't have. Oh, except I'm a state. Actually, it won't need anything. Nice. They're fun. Okay, so there's no, obviously I haven't made the clothing, actually clothing file selector dialog. Change the name. Client UI clothing. Let's just make this real quick. Extends container. Whoops. What's the, let me pull up another sort of dialogue. Is this going to be the same kind of, yeah. We want all these things, except for we don't need, we do, I think. As a matter of fact. Okay, so we don't need that. No, because we're going to do that on the flip side. This stuff I know by heart, but I'm gonna oh yeah. Super califragilisticexpialidocious. So it's gonna be a window. And we're gonna add select cancel buttons. I'm just trying to get the infrastructure in place to do something. It's not going to actually do it, but but it will pop something up. So let's private list box files. Files equals add child new list box. But let me do that. Add label, select file, clothing files. Let's just call it clothing files. Ooh, we want a title probably. Yeah. So we'll call it the clothing file selector. And then probably we don't need to say, okay, we'll just do this for now. So we make it, doesn't need anything, and then we get GUI globals, get instance, get pop-up state, show pop-up dialog. I think that's all we need. The other thing I'm going to do is when we export, I write the cells to a name, but I really want to write it to a file. So where is the clothing format? I think it's here. Does it take a file? So let's do this. See, the thing is, like when I'm in an IDE and I do those little copy paste, it's like complaining. I get like errors and underlines. It's just kind of frustrating. I know, I'm going to change it in a second. Okay, so now we have that. We can come back over here. Not here. Basically, I want to make a subdirectory instead of just shoving them all in the current directory. And that way we can search in a subdirectory too, which we'll do in a second. So, and then file target equals new file clothing name, and then when we write the clothing target, and when I do it this way, if not target get parent file dot exists target dot get parent file make ders. Okay, so that way make sure it's got a directory. Okay, we've got 5 concurrent viewers today according to YouTube. Welcome. That's right, I changed the name. Alright. Oh, make ders. Make ders. Make ders. Okay. Ba 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 ba. So while that's loading, I want to talk about, if you guys can see my little October. So there's a live stream on October 27th, and I think that's when we're going to do the Halloween party. So we'll have this release this weekend, and that'll give everybody, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks to make costumes. And I'll put out another release this weekend, the 21st, with whatever I get done as far as male models, The so I'll get male models and whatever other races I can get implemented. Maybe at least dwarves. I want to get the elves and stuff. Well, my version of dwarves and elves, and probably won't get much more done than that. If I even get the male model in. Animations are always the tricky part. As far as the chests go, yeah, those aren't real blueprint objects. They're kind of like half-baked. And they're in 2 parts. So yeah, you can't copy them, unfortunately. So let's just see if I got my wiring correct. So we should be able to... So I had like the fur-lined boots, which are kind of cool. So from here, you know, I can export, which export. So if I hit Control X, oops. Yeah, so Control X is not working. So maybe I need to flip the... There's a sort of quirk in the way key mapping works in Lemur. Lemur is the UI toolkit, the open source UI toolkit that I use, that I wrote, and that I use. And these have to be, like if you have multiple, because we have a key X, it doesn't know to disambiguate unless you put the, it's something like that, right? You have to put the control first so it knows that it's selecting that. That's how it disambiguates this from the regular X. If you hit X first, it's going to do this. Anyway. So even though this is like this, it's because there is no other Z to get confused, and it's fine. But you see there must be a Y that's getting confused, and so there is this like that. Anyway, we will see if that fixes the issue. It could just be that I have a wiring problem. Regarding the copying of the chests, I do want to fix that. It won't be for tomorrow, though. But yeah, when I get the workbench stuff implemented, which I'm trying to do by Thanksgiving, that allows us to assemble real chests with hinges that open and close and stuff. Because the ones in the dungeon are just kind of 2 objects plopped together. And I need to add, like in the clothing, we have gold and brass and silver, and we do not in the block types, so I still need to add block types for, yeah, so clothing, you know, under the metals we have, you know, brass and gold and silver, which we don't have block types for yet, so I have to add block types for those. Okay, so, boy, somebody's unhappy. Oh, it's just telling me the long style query crap. Okay. Alright, so we're in here. X exports, and that didn't fail, so that means it wrote it to a subdirectory, and then Control X. Ooh. But this time it hit it twice. So we hit it once. Now it's hitting it twice. That tends to tell me that I've wired it incorrectly. So here, if it's import, yep, I did. I wired it incorrectly. So I was changing the mappings for export, which basically said export would be hooked to all of these things, which is interesting that it hit it twice. Okay, so just while I'm here, let me double check that I set. Oh, well, first let's. The other thing I'm frequently doing is forgetting to change the string. Okay, so we've got export and import, and we should have separate export import. Yeah, I did all that. Yep. Okay. It's always the little things. I spent 10 minutes running around in circles before the live stream trying to get that enabled, disabled stuff working for Flora blocks. And it turned out the thing I was trying to test was working, but the logs were being suppressed because the log config had them disabled. Nice. That's the idea, challenging dungeons. Now imagine throwing in some traps and puzzles and places where you have multi-level rooms, you know, where you've got the, you know, bridge or something going across and deep pits either side and stuff. I mean, cool stuff, man. Can't wait. I hope this Mythruna developer guy hurries up and finishes that stuff. Okay, so fur-lined boots, clothing. Okay, let's wait till this logging settles down. Okay, so X still exports. Control X doesn't import. What have I done wrong? But again, like, I get wrapped around these simple things. So let us see. Maybe I had it right before. Let's import. Maybe I had it right before, but it was mapped improperly. I don't know. Sometimes you get to the point where you just try stuff. Paul, we only have 13 minutes. Are we going to be able to finish the whole selection thing? I hope that's the easy part, really. When I'm wiring up lots of keys and things, it like becomes second nature, and then I always forget this little trick. And if this doesn't work, I'll just pick a different key. And we'll just know that it's the wrong one. But okay. Nope, still not working. Oh, maybe it did. Yeah, actually it's working. There's a, you can't tell, but there's a panel popped up off the screen, and I know this because if I click on something, it's not going to actually click. I just clicked, and now that modal pop-up went away, which means that modal pop-up's not really right either. So that's easy fix. Easy fix, easy fix, easy fix. So easy, we're just going to assume it works and do the next part. Okay, so I think it's center and GUI, but I do have Javadoc for this somewhere. Pop up. Ah, look, I even have it up. Apparently I've had to look this up before. Center and GUI. Look at that. Okay, so that's going to work. I'm going to give this the directory that it wants to look things up. And private file root. Root equals root. Load files. Yeah. And private version list files. So version list is like an array list, except for it can tell you when it's been changed. Okay, so that's that, and then load files. We do for file f root dot list files. Oh, before I forget. And then if f is directory, skip it. If not f dot get name dot to lowercase dot ends with dot clothing, also skip. Oops. Else f. Okay, and actually list box is also parameterized, so we can be smart and avoid a whole bunch of warnings. I think I don't have to do that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Alright, so that should pop up the dialog with the list of files in it. Found it. The print screen button may not be the best button to screen grab in game. But that's standard, right? No? It does two things. Like print screen normally in a modern operating system will capture the current screen to the clipboard. If I've overridden it, something weird happened after grabbing the tool and clicking on the portal. Did you right click or left click? By the way, if you guys run into those kind of errors where something really weird happens and it fouls your world, you know, save the log. Well, Mythruna saves the logs aside, but it's easy if you have that Mythruna client log and just copy it aside, because sometimes that's useful for me to fix bugs. I keep composing a new song in my head for one of these live streams. Will make an orchestral song for a feature that's coming that I don't want to spoil. But it's a feature worthy of its own in-game music. Okay, so X, yay! Okay, so see, we're almost there. To be able to select and do something with it. Of course, it's not actually doing anything. And in fact, if I click out here, it also goes away, which is bad. Thanks. Thanks for joining the live stream. All right, so let me do one more thing, which is select the basic. Actually, there's a twill shirt copy. Is it the twill tunic copy? There's one of these that I created a long sleeve shirt, and I want to save that one. Yeah, there's long sleeve shirt. I did this. See, it's even got the little. Actually, let me go torso mode. See, it's even got the little pocket. I kind of had to flub the collar, but I think it's kind of fun. I may need to create a little seam there. Anyway, I was using the twill, and that's actually what's that's actually what she's wearing right now. It's that twill shirt. Yeah, there's a problem in the UV mapping here, which I'll fix somewhere down the line. But she's got a little pocket. Anyway, so there's two things I have to do. One is implement all the things. The other thing is when I show the pop-up, there's a way to say, show modal pop-up. That's what I want to do. And I probably want to give it a background color. Show modal pop-up. New color RGBA. I want it to be clear that it's taking over the screen. All right, so let's see, in this one, we do the things. Okay, so we want to say, we want to have, it's callable that takes an argument, right? Or is a callable that returns, and it's consumer, I think is what I want. Yeah. Consumes a file. This dot done equals done. And then before we remove the parent, we will see file equals files list dot get selected item, and if file equals null, return, because we don't want to actually leave. And then otherwise we call done dot accept file, and that means in clothing editor state I need to tell it how to be done. Load our import file. I think that's all I need. The compiler will certainly tell me. Okay, before we wire that up, let's let us, yeah, cannot find symbol, show, modal. My hand gets so used to typing model. So the secret to making the Pepsi last the whole live stream is to have pounded 2 of them before we started. Apparently, because I've still got like 3 sips left. I think it's funny, Mythruna has had an actual theme song for 12 years or something, 13 years, and it's not actually in the game at the moment. In a mountain crater volcano, that's awesome. But it's not really what I intend. The idea is that for most worlds, so the requirement, one of my requirements is that for a starter world, when you start a world, from the spawn tower, you should be able to see in the distance at least one town. And so if it places it inside the crater, that makes it harder for it to live up to that. So if we had basic, so let's go in here, edit, and then if we hit Control X to import something, ta-da, we get, and look at it darkened the screen. So let's say we wanted to import the fur-lined boots, we'd say select, and it calls import. Okay, so now we just do the thing. Which is easier. I mean, that's actually not a bad. Well, the game looks around through a certain space for the highest area that's not on an island. Yeah, no, it's going to be a completely different world if you did a different seed. But in the sense that a crater, those kind of craters only happen because the mountain generated taller than the world allows terrain to generate, which already means it's sort of predestined to be the tallest area, the tallest spot in that area. And so, and because of the nature of being the tallest and being tall enough to clip through what the max generation height is, which is why it inverts and makes a crater, means that it is going to be a likely spot for a spawn tower to form, if there is one anywhere in, you know, the vicinity of whatever I start the radial search from. All right, so clothing format should have a way to read cells. Nice. I wish you guys could post screenshots to this, because that would be really cool. Although dangerous, probably. Okay, cool. I definitely want to see it. Oh, come on. Okay. So let's make one of these that takes a file. Read cells, file F. The reason I do this here is because it reduces the number of imports I have to have on the other side. Try file input stream in new equals new file input stream F read cells in. Oh, gotta return it. Yeah, my fingers want to type int. Okay. That should work. So just read cells. Yep, we already have a file format. So just read cells. Okay. And it returns a cell array. Cell array cells equals. Oh, no, I actually created on the fly. Okay. We're going to put this in a try catch, just like the above. And we'll do this. Error reading F. Oops. Format read cells F. Okay, now we just need to paste them in to the did you paste them in, or did you? Okay, so you haven't pasted them yet. Okay, that's fine. Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't ignoring you. Now the thing is, we need to. This is going to be the weird part. We want to do what a click does. Alright, so for int I equals 0, I less than 32, I plus plus. And so we go through all the columns and then the layer last. Oops. J equals 0, j is less than 32, j plus plus, and value equals cells dot get value, I, j, k. If value equals 0, then we're done with that column. Else, we want to add an edit. That way they can undo. Well, I really would like to bundle all these into one big edit, but for the moment, I'll do that later. But I just want to see this working, and since we're already 5 minutes over. Builder, yes. Cell, new, vec3i. Oh, 0k, I think. Swatch edit. Oh, it's the X. Wait. Okay. Where do we set the cell? The cell. Oh, nope, we do XY. Alright, good to know. So that would have been funky. Alright, let's see if that works. I don't have particularly high hopes. Seems like we've already lost, or is it get cell? Yep, cell array get cell. Lost a couple of concurrent viewers according to the... And the Pepsi is done, so this has to work, right? Alright, so we saved a shirt, I think. Okay, come on. Load fade. Alright, so... Oops, wrong button. Clothing. Edit the clothing. And then we control X. We select... Okay, well this isn't going to be very good. Let's edit basic shirt. Okay. Now let's import like the fur-lined boots. Select. It's doing it slow. Yeah, I've got to put this all in one. Huh. So apparently import file. I did too big. I bet you guys might have spotted this. Yep. I bet somebody was yelling. I'd used the wrong thing, so it was never breaking out of its... Okay, I have a little more confidence that this might work. Before I say that, let me see. Let me just double check that the builder is putting things in XYZ. Okay. So then when we add one, okay, well that's okay. Actually, so I may have done this wrong. I think, blocks, but I think that this one, I might have done Z as the up and down. If not, this will look very strange. And instead of copying it over another, I'm just going to make a new. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Work, we can have success. And we'll all be happy. We'll all be a little happy. Okay, clothing. New clothing. So we want to import this. Clothing, fur-lined boots. Select. Hey, okay, it's wrong. Which may be because of what I said. Okay. So let's flip those back around. So look at this again. So z equals 0. Alright, I'm going to look it up because we don't really have a whole lot of time to be clothing accumulator, which is over here. Okay, so X size, Y size, layers. Are we using layers as the Z? Yep, layers as the Z, so that means we write out X, Y, Z. So we read in X, Y, Z. So why is it failing? X, Y value goes into X, Y, X, Y, X, Y. So we read it in so this is right. We do the columns. If the column IJK is, we're done. Otherwise, we add a swatch. This is IJ. Okay, so yeah, basically we're only setting the bottom to everything. Basically wrong. Okay, should work this time. Confidence. And I appreciate all of you who are taking time away from your busy Baldur's Gate 3 schedule to watch my live stream. Come on, work. Activate, work it. Alright, clothing. New clothing. Bang. We pull it in. We say fur-lined boots. Select. Badoo! Ta-da! We can import clothes. Yay! Now, the thing is, like, see, it did 301 edits. Oh, you're in Act 3. Nice. My oldest child just got it some time ago and finally gave up on trying to get the mods she wanted to working. I just had a mosquito land on my hand. I accidentally crushed it with my thumb and it left a big smear of blood. Ugh. Gross. That means right there I'm gonna have a big welt later. Lovely. Yeah, my oldest just got it recently, and finally she gave up on trying to get the mods working. She wanted to work. She wanted to play a goblin, and for whatever reason on Linux she couldn't get that to work. But so she's been playing it in all of her free time. All right, so this is working, and that's where I'm going to end it. Maybe with some cool views of. See, there is a town nearby. So there's a town. And I will point out that the grass and stuff grows in the town too. Basically anywhere there's a grass block, that's where it's supposed to be. And these brown things come because there would have been a tree here if the town hadn't removed all the trees. That's not always going to be the case. The town will eventually leave some of the trees. And there's an airport. I can't wait till there's like a airship we can ride on to the nearby airports. Alright, thanks Frammy. Yep, we're wrapping it up anyway. In fact, I think we're watching a sunset right now. So thanks for joining, guys. And yeah, I'll wrap this release up and wrap it up tomorrow. I think I'll do the same import-export thing for block types so that you guys who have like cool block types that you've developed locally can get them up into the server world if you want. Same with clothing. If you develop some cool clothing, you can get that up into the server world. And otherwise, I hope you all have a really productive week. Thanks for joining, and let me do my normal. Where's my things where I could say, thanks, and definitely like, comment, subscribe to the video. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 viewers. If I do that, I'll add a little camera to my thing, and you guys can see what I look like when I talk. I'll add a webcam. Anyway, thanks again to the patrons, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining.